Having me. Welcome everybody. As Michelle said, I'm at home. I've worked from home for 15 years, so I'm pretty used to working from home. What I'm not used to is doing online webinars. I am a speaker, an author, a coach. Most of my work is face-to-face, speaking at conferences, coming into businesses, running workshops. So 3 months ago, when COVID hit, I lost all my work, 100% of my work. I just went away. So I was pretty stressed, to be honest, for a few days. I couldn't sleep. I was a little bit overwhelmed. I was a little bit anxious. I was a little bit panicking even occasionally. So this webinar is really about, well, it was prompted from an article I wrote one night when I woke up not sleeping, having lost all my work. And I was frustrated because I was listening to all these experts on television, our leaders, our medical experts, celebrities, sports people, telling me to stay calm. And I've been doing what I do for 15 years, and the objective is not to stay calm. So I was a little bit annoyed with their constant stay calm, stay calm. So I wrote an article on LinkedIn, which was picked up by a number of publishers and published, and it was probably the most shared and read article I've ever written, called "Don't Expect to Stay Calm, Stay Connected." And that's really what today is about. And it's no different whether we're in COVID times or in normal times, but staying calm is not the objective. You might have moments of calm, but I guess my main message today is that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to have feelings of stress, of overwhelm, of panic, of anxiety, of depression even. And the key that I've learned in navigating all this is to learn to regulate yourself, not to get rid of these feelings, but to regulate yourself in the midst of these feelings and experience these feelings. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about the 4 things that you can control. I'm going to draw, I've got a whiteboard here. I'm going to draw a diagram there of the brain. I'm going to attempt to draw that, but it won't be as good as that, but that's our brain, because I really want to get to the science fairly quickly behind stress and what's happening in the brain. And that's where we're heading. And I'll give you a few little tips on how you can regulate yourself. So before we start, I'd just like you to be sitting, hopefully sitting comfortably in your chair with your feet flat on the floor. I just want you to take a couple of big, deep breaths before we start, and I'll join you. So I'd just like you to take a big, deep breath. And another one. And one more. And I'd like you to stop multitasking. I know a lot of us multitask while we're on webinars. You're probably zoomed out, a lot of you. But I'd really like you to pay attention. I'm going to touch on my expertise topic, which is mindfulness. And mindfulness, in my view, is the science of paying attention. And the brain is not designed to multitask, although we all think we're great multitaskers. So I'd just like you to right now listen to what I'm saying. And for the next 25 minutes, if you can do that, you'll get a lot more out of this webinar. So, you know, don't do any emails, don't read something else. If you've got kids or family or pets around you, just do the best you can to pay attention and notice how much more you'll get out of this in doing so. So look, I'll start with the 4 things you can control. In fact, I might write these up here on the board. So there's only 4 things that you're responsible for. Your perceptions, your decisions, your actions, and your breath. That's about it. Everything else is out of your control. So when I 3 months ago lost all my work, I sort of quickly realised that, okay, I can't really do a lot about that because no one's going to work. So I just focused on what I can control, which is my perception of what's going on, my decisions, my actions, and my breath. And I did even more work on the last one. And I just did more of what I do every day. I do it every day anyway, which is I've got my own practice. I meditate. I do some qigong, some yoga every morning. I go for a walk in the bush. And I just focused on that. And within a week, have a guess what happened? I got more work back than I could almost handle, and all online. So that's what I focused on. So I'm going to now draw and explain why that works, okay, and why that happens in terms of and looking at the brain to do so. So I'm going to do a very basic brain, okay? I'm just going to draw that and that and that. That's 3 parts to the brain, and hopefully you can see that. I'll just make that a bit thicker. So this is the evolution of the brain. This is the 3 evolutions of the brain throughout history. So I just want to, spend about 10 minutes, which is a big chunk, about 30 minutes, but this is probably the most important part of the webinar. The oldest part of the brain, this is the base of that's the spine there, this is the base of the neck here. So the oldest part of the brain is this part here, called the hind brain. Some people call it animal brain, reptilian brain. It's got a few names. And this is basically 2 things. This is instinct and impulse. Instinct and impulse. Instinct is avoid pain. Impulse is seek pleasure. Seek pleasure. So all you can control is your perceptions. Stress is all perception. So if you're under the perception of long-term stress, of more challenge than support, more downs than ups, more negatives and positives, that's all perception. If you're under the perception of long-term stress, where you will be acting from within your brain is sort of back here in the reptilian brain or the limbic brain, which is the next evolution, which is the emotional brain. And the stress response is a very small, it's actually called the amygdala. You would have heard of this, amygdala. It's about the shape and size of an almond, a nut, the almond. And there's one on the left side, one on the right side of the brain. So this is the fight, flight, or freeze response. And when we're back here, operating in this part of the brain, that means the brain's working. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's all perception, okay? So, but when you're acting back here, your decisions, your actions, and your breath all change dramatically. In fact, you're not making wise decisions. You're making decisions with emotion. You're making decisions which are all about avoiding pain or seeking pleasure. And you're not acting from your neocortex, which is the most evolved part of the brain, and particularly the front part right here behind the forehead, the prefrontal cortex, or the telencephalon, it's called, right there, right there behind the forehead. The most evolved part of the brain is called the telencephalon. And there's a big difference in your perceptions, your decisions, and your actions, and your breath, depending where you are operating from in your brain. So let me just explain what happens when you're operating from instinct or impulse. Your behaviours typically will be, if you're back here in your reptilian brain, avoiding pain. You just you won't want to get up maybe tomorrow morning. You'll just want to curl up in bed. You don't want to go to work. You don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to sort of run away. You want to get in the car and drive up to the Byron Bay or something and have a break. You've had enough. That's typical of instinctive behaviour, avoiding pain. Impulsive behaviour, we do this every day, most of us, is I need a coffee, hit, I need a sugar hit, I need a chocolate, I need a drug, I need a cigarette, I need alcohol, I need a drink. I want some instant, this is immediate gratification behavior, immediate gratification. I need some more likes on what I've posted on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram. I'm not getting enough, immediate gratification. Oh, only one like. I can't believe that. I posted that article on LinkedIn and no one's even looking at it. So it's immediate gratification behavior. That's impulsive behavior or instinctive behavior. This is amygdala thinking. Another way to look at your amygdala is to think of your amygdala as your guard dog. It's necessary. It's there to save us. The brain was designed with that in mind for survival. So this is reflexive behavior. Reflexive, not reflective, which is when we're up here. Reflective, very different. And when we're in the limbic brain, which is the emotions, it's positive and negative. It's happy, it's sad. We're up, we're down, we're elated, we're depressed, etc., etc. Again, here, reptilian brain or emotional brain, we're meant to have all these emotions, we're meant to experience all these, but we're not meant to stay in those states forever. In fact, it's not sustainable long term. It's draining. It's burnout. It's tiring being in here throughout the day, every day. Yet most of us will go back here at some point during the day. So, what do you access? Really, the main point of showing you this brain is I just want you to be aware of that it's your choice where you are every minute, every second, every hour, every day, in my view. And you can choose to be back here. Most people aren't even aware of what's going on. So when your guard dog, your amygdala, is active, your guard dog, that's the guard dog. That's there to save you. And that's scanning for threats every minute of every day. And it's scanning for 4 major threats, and one of them is physical pain. Okay, one of them is the scanning for the unknown. It's scanning for incongruent behaviour. It's scanning for shoulds and unrealistic expectations that you might have. And if that's all happening, then your brain's working. But it's just feedback. Any stress, any anxiety, any panic, even any emotions are just feedback, in my view, to tell you that you're not in here. You're not centered, because in here you access your wisdom. You access the wise animal, I call it, as opposed to the guard dog. The guard dog rules and gets very large and dominates because it can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So sometimes if you spill your coffee on your lap, it will get very big, and it'll think that you've sort of been threatened by a lion or a tiger, which is how the brain was designed when we lived in caves. But today, we don't have lions and tigers in our house or our office most of the time. And yet the brain sort of acts as if we do, and we sort of don't know the difference. So activating your wise owl, your wisdom, which is where your genius is. It's where your intuition is. Not to be confused with instinct, but a lot of people interchange those words. They don't know what they're talking about. Instinct is avoid pain, survival. Intuition is what we all have and we can all access, which is bringing us back to balance. It's wise balance. It's accessing your genius within you, accessing all the solutions, all the answers, all the strategies. It's accessing meaning, true purpose. Not happy and positive, which are emotions, but that's what a lot of people think life is all about, being happy and positive all the time. I think that's delusional thinking, to be honest. We're meant to experience sad and down and negative, and they're just emotions that we're going to experience. But we can access true meaning and true purpose if we're accessing our prefrontal cortex, and it's your choice. So I think that's enough on the brain. Let me just talk about how you access, how do you activate, how do you light up your prefrontal cortex? How do you light up the telencephalon? Because the more that's lit up, the more you'll override the amygdala, the more the guard dog will shrink in size, and that's where you have your wisdom. That's where you're acting from a position of centeredness, groundedness, presence. That's called your executive center. That's where true leaders operate from. And there's a few ways to access that, and have a guess what the most researched way is: mindfulness. And let me just give you my definition of mindfulness, and you might need to pay attention to this, because if you're easily distracted, you won't hear it. So mindfulness is this. Well, it's the science of paying attention, and it's the awareness that comes with paying attention. But here's another longer definition. Mindfulness is this: it's paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, without judgment. Now, that definition took me 12 seconds to say. And have a guess what the average attention span of a human being is today. About 10 to 12 seconds. So some of you missed that definition because you got distracted. So let me say it again. Mindfulness is this: it's paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, without judgment. I've thrown a lot at you. Let's just take a big, deep breath each now. And I want you to do something specific, though, with the breath. I want you to take a longer out breath than in breath. So I want you to breathe in, and then on the out breath, I want you to sigh like this. Ah. Sigh. Let's do a few more of those. Ah. One more, really consciously, shorter in breath, longer out breath, and then I'll explain why. Loud, I want to hear you. Okay, breathe in. That's better. I could hear that one. Thank you. Let me explain what I've just done. Simply by taking a shorter in breath and a longer out breath, you've activated what's called the vagus nerve. Vagus is comes from a Latin word called wanderer, and it's the wandering nerve. It's the only nerve that sort of connects the brain. It sort of starts in the back of the head here and winds down through the front of the neck, and then connects all the organs in the front of the body. And when you activate the vagus nerve, and you do that through longer out breaths, you're also activating your parasympathetic nervous system, which is part of the central nervous system, part of the autonomic nervous system, which you don't really think you've got control over, but you do through your breath. It's the rest, digest, and relax part of the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is the stress response, the amygdala, fight, flight, or freeze, which is what you need sometimes during the day when you're feeling a bit lethargic and a bit worn out. In fact, if that's how you're feeling, you just do the reverse. Longer in breaths, that'll activate the stress response. It's that simple. But when you're feeling anxious, and you're feeling a little bit nervous, and you're feeling a little bit stressed, and you're feeling a little bit panicked, and again, it's all perception. So if that's your perception, your breath is going to change based on how you're feeling and what your perception is. So you're going to have a shorter, shallow mouth breath when you're feeling a bit anxious, a bit stressed. So the quickest way to get back into your wise owl, to help you make more wise decisions and actions when you're back here, is to change your breath. Practice the mindfulness. That's one way. That's the quickest way.
So mindfulness is the most, I guess, researched way.
And mindfulness is not just about meditating every day. Mindfulness is simply about having the intention that you're going to stay present right now. In fact, mindfulness is not necessarily about getting someplace else. It's about being where you already are right now, in this moment, and realizing the full power and potential of everything that's going on right now in this moment. So if you're in the meeting, be in the meeting. If you're having a cup of coffee with a friend, be in the cup of coffee with the friend. If you're speaking to your children, just be with your children. If they're talking to you, listen to them right now. Set the intention that you're going to pay attention. It's as simple as that. That's really what mindfulness is all about when you really get it. But a lot of us are in a state of partial attention most of our day, most of our life. And as I said before, the brain is not designed to multitask. It's designed to single task. Yet we get about 72,000 thoughts every day. A lot of us, I'll show you my little prop now, are in our head, the snow globe here, which you can see against my black shirt. I've just shaken it up. So the thoughts, that's the busy head. That's where a lot of us spend most of our day, in our busy head. Not even aware that we can, through some simple mindfulness, through some simple breathing, another way to do it is through gratitude. What happens if you do these practices? The thoughts, the 72,000 thoughts we get a day, which equates to about one every second, they start to settle. And the more you practice this, the more the thoughts will settle. And have a guess what happens when the thoughts settle? You get clarity. You get clarity of thought. You get access to your wise owl, to your prefrontal cortex. When all the thoughts settle, and of the 72,000, 75% of them by design, the way the brain was designed, are negative. And that goes back to animal brain, reptilian brain, because when we were on the lookout for lions and tigers, we had to stay alive. So most of our thoughts were designed to be negative. But today, 50-50, I think is about the best you can do. Don't expect to be all positive all the time. Don't expect to be happy all the time either. You're meant to experience all this stuff, and all that means is that the brain's working the way it was designed. But we've got an even better designed brain now with this prefrontal cortex, and we're designed to have reason, have wisdom. We're the only animal that has that, reason and wisdom. And when you let the thoughts settle and the mind becomes still, then your innermost dominant thoughts come up to be acknowledged. The wisdom comes up, the intuition comes up, the answers come up, all the solutions come up, your genius comes up to be recognized. You have true meaning, you have true purpose in your life when you access that, which is available to everybody, no matter what age, colour, creed, sex, race, religion, doesn't matter. 7.5 billion people in the world, we've all got the same thing in here. And we've all got access to that if we choose. So, I've covered it quite a bit and I'm running out of time. I've only got 4 minutes to go. So, I just want to finish with a little guided meditation. So sit comfortably still, feet flat on the floor, thumb in the back of the chair. I want you to close your mouth, close your eyes. I want you to focus on your bottom. Just feel your bottom in the back of the chair, in the base of the chair. And now pay attention to the middle of the back. And now come up to the shoulder blades at the back. And now pay attention to the back of the neck, eyes closed, mouth closed. And now pay attention to the back of the head. top of the head. Mouth's closed, eyes closed. You're looking at the top of the head from inside your head. Pay attention to the forehead now, the forehead. It's like you're looking at the forehead again from inside your head with your eyes closed. Just know that when you're just sitting here, still, relaxed, looking at your forehead from inside, wherever your attention goes, energy flows. You're taking blood and glucose to the prefrontal cortex right now. You're activating and lighting up your telencephalon right now. You're overriding your amygdala right now if you're just paying attention to your forehead from inside. Focus on the eyebrows, the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw, the mouth. Mouth's closed, whole face is relaxed. Have a slight smile on the face. Pay attention to the chin. Come down to the chest and the heart. Take 3 big, long, deep, slow breaths into the heart. Just for the last 30 seconds. 3 big, long, deep, slow breaths down into the heart. And I'm going to say one word, gratitude. I want you to think about right now what you've got to be grateful for right now in your life as you breathe into your heart. And that's all I want you to pay attention to. 3 big, long, deep, slow, balanced breaths now. Same length in, same length out. If you balance the breath, you'll balance your emotions. You'll access your prefrontal cortex. And when you finish those 3 big, long, deep, slow, balanced breaths into your heart and thinking about gratitude, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, gently open your eyes. I'll leave you with one final thought. When the vision, this is the vision behind here, when the vision and the voice on the inside is louder and greater than all the opinions and all the distractions on the outside, you've truly begun to master your life. So please don't expect to stay calm. Stay connected to self. Thank you. Now, if you have got any questions, I'm not sure if Michelle's going to come back. Please write them in there in the comments or the questions column. And look, it's 1:30 now, so we're going to finish the webinar. But Michelle will send those to me, and I'll answer them personally for you. So if you want to add any comments or any questions, I'm happy to look at those separately. But thanks for your time. Thanks for your attention. And I hope I'll be seeing you all again soon. Thank you.